That's a gay-ass podcast.
What? That's a gay-ass podcast. What? A really, really, really gay podcast that we call That's a Gay-Ass Podcast.
That's a gay-ass name for a gay-ass podcast.
Jeremy Crittenden is here on That's a Gay-Ass Podcast with a splint on your fingy. Jeremy, tell me, are you okay? Was it fitness or fisting or otherwise?
You know, I really want to say that I broke it inside a twunk, but unfortunately, it was a football accident, which is arguably a hot way to get injured.
Wait, you were playing literal football when you hurt your finger?
Literal football, yeah. There's a gay football league in New York. Actually, there's a gay football league like in many cities across America.
Yeah.
But I'm in the one in New York City. 200 gay guys playing flag football. It's the most fun I've ever had. I've really been enjoying it, and I'm devastated that I can't be playing right now because we're in the playoffs and my team's doing great. Every time I'm not there, my team wins. So I'm probably a curse. But I was having a great time while it lasted.
Well, obviously, the sports of it all is great to have gays sort of reclaim the sports arena, but I want to know about the social atmosphere of the gay football. Is it giving everyone sisters? Is there drama with hookups? Are people dating? What's happening behind the scenes of flag football after dark?
It's exactly what you want it to be. Like, yeah, there's absolutely a little bit of drama, but it's total sisterhood. People really there is a great social element to it. So game day is usually Saturday. And then after the games, because there's a few games that night, everybody, there's a coordination of here's the bar that we're going to go to tonight. And, I bartend as well. So usually I'm bartending after the games. So there was a night where the league came to my bar after we played. And it's maybe one of the most fun nights I've ever had at a gay bar.
Wow. Were you spending the whole night just serving drinks, or were you getting... before that question, have you ever hooked up with anybody from gay football?
No, I have not. I have not hooked up. Now, listen, I joined the league kind of midstream this year. I was on the wait list for a while. Somebody else got injured, so I joined midstream. But I will say there are some very attractive men in the gay football league.
I love also the trail of injured gay men that are now having to drop out of gay flag football, and then you're off the wait list. It's kind of incredible. But listen, there's still time for you to get dicked down by a flag football fag, and I hope that if that's something you want, I hope it happens for you.
Mama, from your mouth to God's ears.
To whatever Sam, there's some gay football guys named Sam something. We love gay athletes. We love Jeremy Crittenden, who posts gorgeous content on the internet, but you're also, as you say, you are giving bartender realness, you are giving actor realness, comedian realness. You also have a show that is called Undateable, and I'm bringing this up because before we get into the second half of this interview where I ask my horniest, hard-hitting questions, this description for the show really struck me. Undateable is described as Jeremy Crittenden is a single gay 40-something back on the market after his second divorce. With all that baggage, he has one big question: is he even dateable? Jeremy, the rumors are true. You are post-second divorce. Do you feel powerful being a two-time gay divorcee?
I do feel like a trailblazer. I did wonder for a while if I was the most divorced gay in the United States. Probably not, but the odds were not terrible. I will say I have since met somebody who has been divorced 3 times, a gay person who has the divorce hat trick, which is really impressive.
Really impressive. What's the timeline for your divorces? When was divorce 1? When was divorce 2?
So divorce 1 was finalized in late 2016, just as I was starting a relationship with who would become husband number 2.
Stop,
and
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, a divorce sometimes takes a while. We had been separated for a long time, but and then divorce number 2 is fresh. It's very, very fresh. So we split up a few years ago, and then that divorce process I think is done. I think is wrapped up.
Cross
I'm
seas.
not 100% sure.
Wow. To
How
not
chaotic is
know
that?
to not know if you're divorced is really, again, it's almost like you're giving old character actress who is just counting the amount of men she has been married to. It's giving Elizabeth
Seriously.
Taylor.
Thank
Um,
you.
but
Mm.
I do, on a half serious note, I do think that it is sort of amazing to be that sort of trailblazer, because when gay marriage became legal, obviously what comes next is gay divorce. And I think that you even have a video about how straight divorce is what you said, like 42-ish%. Lesbians are like 70
70.
something, which is
Yeah.
surprising and wild. And then gay
They're
men.
moving in too quick. They're moving in too quick. Lesbians, you know you're moving in too quick. We know you're moving in too quick. Love you, but
Well, listen, and I love, a girly who thinks she knows what she wants, and if she's wrong, then that's just the price we pay. But then
That's
you
a
said
future problem.
gay men are like pretty low when it comes to divorce rates.
yeah,
Would
the
you
divorce rate is like 28% or something that I read.
Which I think part of that, of course, is the idea that we as gay men sort of run away from certain heteronormative ideas. I think a lot of straight couples get divorced partly because of quote unquote cheating, when of course gay men are more likely to be involved in open relationships, which can create more communication. And listen, I'm not here to have the open relationship discourse, because I am team
God.
OR and I am team do whatever the fuck makes you happy. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious about, did you learn anything different from the first marriage versus the second? How do you look back on it now? Even I guess you're fresh off the second, but how do you look back on these divorces and your takeaways?
I would say like my first husband, whose name is also Jeremy, which we can unpack that at some point. Great, wonderful guy, but we met when we were in our early 20s. So I really look at that as like we kind of grew up together. We were basically
Yeah.
kids when we got together, and there was a lot of we were monogamous and we were open and we were breaking up and getting back together, and like it was a whole thing. But that was over 12, 13 years
Oh,
that we were
wow.
together. So it's
Yeah.
a really long relationship. But it's when I started to realize like a bad habit of mine in a relationship is that I'm very easily sort of sucked into somebody's orbit, And but I also have like really strong aspirations of my own.
Yeah.
And eventually at some point I've found in my relationships that I'm really good at like sort of like slicing off things about myself in order to be the partner that somebody else wants. And then eventually I realize, oh, I have no limbs here, I don't really know what I'm doing. And
Well,
then
you're
I kind of freak
describing,
out.
there's a word that has come up in my therapy that I think is very normal in a lot of relationships, which is what? Codependence. And I think
Yeah.
that we have been modeled that codependence is healthy, actually. That it's like, yeah, when you lose yourself in your partner, when you're only with your partner, when you are only prioritizing your partner, that can be sort of mistranslated to a codependence where you actually are losing parts of yourself and losing your ability to stand as an individual, knowing that you are also developing yourself as a singular person, and then of course your relationship gets stronger too. But I think codependence is like really very, very classic, and so many of us
Sure.
deal with it.
For sure. And so I think out of marriage one, I really learned that's a really easy trap for me to fall into. And then coming out of marriage two, like if we're being totally honest with each other, coming out of marriage two, I learned that I had been fighting with depression for a really, really long time. And maybe it took the pandemic to really unleash that. But when that marriage wrapped up, it was very, very hard. I had a full breakdown and really realized then, I was like, oh, this is depression has been something that I've been fighting with my entire life. And, now I at least have a grip on that, which is great. But I would also say out of that, that marriage ended just as I was turning 40, that I was like, okay, so I defined the first 40 years of my life by being in relationships, by being someone's son, by being someone's boyfriend, by being a husband, by being another husband. And I thought, okay, this is perfect. So if 40 is around the midway mark, because let's be honest, 40 is around the midway mark, guys. that I get this opportunity to define the next 40 years by doing the things that I want to do. And if I do end up in a relationship again, which God knows, that I want to define it as holding on to these things that I'm doing now that have made me happier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
And forcing myself to be that person in a relationship so that I'm in control of me.
Right. Well, I
If that
think
makes sense.
the irony in that too is that the more you work on your own stuff, and whether it's working on the tools to find what keeps you out of a depressive spiral or just what makes you really light up and feel authentically yourself, that will probably, if you end up wanting to be in a relationship, that will actually probably make your next relationship that much stronger because you've done the work as an individ, which we say God bless. I do, though, of course, want to hear about the current dating of it all, the sex of it all. But before we go into the present, I want to go quickly into the past to hear about Jeremy as a young gay. Well, first of all, are you a Canadian turned American? Canadian? What's your nationality situation?
I'm Canadian, so I grew up in Canada. I moved to America when I got married to my second husband. He's American.
I see.
So I'm technically an immigrant. I hold a green card, but citizenship. I think I can do citizenship in like another year or so. But I do plan on getting that.
Wow. And so you go from what part of Canada were you in before moving to New York?
So I grew up near Calgary, Alberta, which is like the Texas of Canada.
Yeah.
And then I lived in Vancouver for a lot of years and then Toronto briefly before moving down here.
Okay, shout out. Well, we love the Canadians. We love immigrants. They get the job done, et cetera, et cetera.
Get the job done, baby.
My question, though, going into your herstory is about the first boy kiss. Can you tell me if you remember who and where you were?
Yes. Yes, of course I can. My first boy kiss was I was 17 years old. I was in Edmonton, which is sort of like one of the bigger cities in the province I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the musical Fame, and it was my first, and like I didn't know, like, so the town I grew up in is Medicine Hat, Alberta. I was the only gay person that I knew, and I came out when I was 16. So I went and did this show, and the day that I got there and we started rehearsal, there was this beautiful boy who was a dancer. And he was just like, the minute I met him, I was absolutely intoxicated.
Okay, give us a
his
description.
Name is Kyle. We're
What's
still
the look?
friends.
What did he look
Oh my
like? What was
gosh.
so intoxicating about his look?
I think we were about like the same height. He was like, he's in dancer shape. And but like,
How tall are you?
I'm like 5'9".
Okay, so 5'9", dancer, and you walk in and you say, "That boy is mine."
Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't say that because because I'd never been with a guy. I was like, oh my God, I wish that boy could be mine. I wish that boy could be mine, And we hit it off. And I remember, oh, yes. Oh, God, this is so sweet. Man, this takes me back. So we a bunch of us in the show went to go and see another play one night. And we were sitting beside each other in the theater. And it was one of those things where like all of a sudden you realize, oh, our knees are touching and nobody's moving their leg. And then all of a sudden our hands are kind of touching at the side of the chair and nobody's moving a hand. And then all of a sudden we're holding hands. Oh. And it was so sweet. It was so sweet. And I think that was the night we like saying goodbye. We had a little kiss. Did I spend the night at his place? I might have spent the night at his place. Yeah.
How fast we go from, it might have been a little kiss to you were throating his cock. That is,
it was really, it was really cute and sweet. And oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in years. Thank you for letting me like relive that.
Well, thank you
Kyle,
for taking us there. I have to say that it's rare we get to hear about young, sweet, innocent love in that way when it comes to gay love, because so much of it is like for me, mine was still somewhat sweet and young, but I waited till I was in college and I was like, I try to feel like I was an adult, but I was still very much a child. But yours sounds very much like, I don't know, it's so young and sweet and innocent. And
Yeah,
if
it's
I
cute.
may tell you a quick story that you actually brought me to surprised tears, but when you just said the musical Fame, which is very gay, because when I was around the same age of 17, 16 or 17, there were two like cabaret singing professionals that were New York girlies who came to
Okay.
St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm from, and they produced like a cabaret workshop, how to like, nail a cabaret show song. And I was a really, ambitious young musical theater teenager, and I said to my parents, I want to do this workshop. And it was only for adults, but for some reason they let me in. And the song that I sang was from Fame, and it was to play a love scene. We don't need the
Yes.
violins to play a love.
Scene.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
and the reason why I got teary is because I was so closeted, and all these, and there was a lot of gay people in this workshop, of course, and they all knew that I was gay. I didn't really know, and they had me sing that song as if I was singing it to my best friend, because they knew they didn't want to give me like a romantic partner to sing to, because they knew what I was going through, even though I really didn't. And I'm singing that song to my best friend in my mind. And I just think about that young boy that was like so deeply, deeply closeted and ashamed and surrounded by adults who knew more than he did.
Yeah.
And that musical Fame really, really took me back to that memory. So wow, look at us, look at
Oh,
us.
I love that. And you know what? Like, what a gift for you as a young man to like have those adults. And that's the thing that I think about for me growing up in a well, two things: growing up in a small town where I didn't know anybody who was gay, but also like we lost so many of the people in the generation that were ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these elders that we didn't get the opportunity to connect with, and so
Exactly.
those elders that I have like in my life had an opportunity to connect with, even though it's been like much later in life. I just like I treasure those men so much, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to learn from them. As a matter of fact, there was a man I met right around the time of my second divorce. That wonderful guy. His name is David, and he's not with us anymore. But the last time we visited together, and I knew he was dying. And that would be the thing you always say, be like, "Hey, David, how are you?" He's like, "Well, I'm dying, but I'm still here,"
Wow.
and we had a really beautiful conversation. And I was saying to him, I was like, I'm not going to date again. I'm good. Like I've been married twice, particularly my second marriage, I consider to be like a really great love. And like, I'm good. I don't need to go through this a third time. And, he listened to me like, really intently, and he just let me kind of go. And then he asked me, so what do you do when you feel lonely at night? And it wasn't something that I had really thought about. And then he said, what do you do then when you want someone to hold you? And so these were things coming out of like this relationship and like starting into this next segment of my life that I was going to be like, oh, era for the rest of the days, that really made me go like, God, what do I do in those situations? I'm not a very lonely person. But there are times like, I am at a point now where I go like, I do miss having a person in my life, but I'm fucking terrified of it,
Well, I think it's really interesting that we can allow ourselves to go through these different phases, and sometimes the phases feel like they're forever. So like a hoe phase in our mind can be like, I just want to be a fucking slut until the day I die. And for some of us, maybe that is the case and we celebrate that. But the biggest lesson I have learned as a gay ass fucking adult is allowing ourselves to pivot and to change and to grow. And I love seeing you in a hoe phase, but you never know what comes after hoe. And it's exciting to be able to find that out. But speaking of, I think this is a perfect chance for us to get into some of the hoe questions. So I'm curious about if any hookups come to mind that were either super formative or sexy, exciting, shocking, surprising, just stand out in your mind in any way.
Okay, listen, this is a little toxic. I'm a big advocate for XX. I love XX. I think XX is the best sex. If any of my exes are watching or listening right now, anytime, boys, anytime. So, okay. I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. There was a time that a partner and I.
For the rest of this interview, head to Substack, linked in the description. You can also watch bonus episodes with Mikey Graceffa from Death Becomes Her, Isaiah Rutledge, Sunset Boulevard's G-Min Moon. We have Derek Cage, Patrick, Nick, Thanos, Mark. They're all hot. The stories are amazing, and you should go check it out at substack.com/@EricWills, linked in the description. I love you, bye!